Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is actually Tuesday night going into Wednesday, and it is 12:29 a.m. It's a beautiful evening outside, very still. And it's still a little bit warm, but there's a little bit of a chill in the air, so I put on my coat. I have to tell you what happened. Well, first of all, I just want to say I haven't vlogged this late at night in quite some time, and I feel a sneeze coming on. Thank you, I appreciate it. For those of you that said bless you, Alex and I ordered piata again tonight. I did not have a full sandwich in there, so I ordered another sandwich, and then I asked Alex if he wanted something, and so I ordered him the Diavolo pasta with steak, and then he also wanted two of these pepperoni sticks, and so I got him those, and then I got a sandwich, and we watched The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and then we watched Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, because Marlo Hampton was on there. And so after that, he turned off the TV and took Boo upstairs, and I said, I think I'm gonna go upstairs too. And then right then Tanya called, which I'll tell you guys about in a second. But and so I talked to Tanya for about 20 minutes on the phone, and then I went upstairs and I laid down, and I felt completely fine. And I told Alex, I said, I think I'm gonna lay down for a little bit, and then I'm gonna get up. And I actually thought the show Missing was a series, but I looked it up earlier, and it's actually a movie that's on Netflix, which I'm getting ready here to watch in just a little bit. And so I fell asleep, and I woke up at about 11:15, and I was having like massive acid reflux. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm having all this acid reflux. And then like I sat up because it was bad. It was like really bad. And when I was heavier, I had it quite a bit. Like always when I was over about 240, I had a lot of acid reflux and took Tums and stuff like that. But whenever I get below like a certain weight, I don't really have it. So I don't know why I've been having it recently a little bit. But tonight it was like really, really bad. And I sat up in bed, and Alex had taken Boo Radley downstairs to give him his medicine and stuff, and they had just come back to bed, and I was like hugging on Boo Radley and whatever, and Alex was like, are you okay? Like, you don't seem yourself. And like my stomach, and it's still like really hurting. It was hurting a ton. It just was really, really hurting. And felt very similar to the pancreatitis, like in the same area. Not as intense as it was before I went into the hospital, but in the same area, and it's kind of just like this like sharp pain. And it didn't start happening until after I had the acid reflux. So I sat there in bed for a little bit. I was gonna maybe just like go to bed for the evening, and I just thought, there's no way I can't fall back asleep. Like, I'm just like in a lot of pain. So I came downstairs, and as soon as I stood up, because I went in the bathroom to brush my teeth and to take my medicine and stuff, and as soon as I stood up, I felt like really, really nauseous, which I haven't felt, you guys know, like in over a week. And I told Alex, I said, I feel like I could throw up. Like, I feel like my stomach is hurting, but like I also feel like I could throw up. And so I came downstairs, and I took a one of those anti-nausea medications. I can't remember what it's called. starts with a Z, Zofran. I took one of the Zofrans, which they really don't typically work. I had been taking them sometimes before I would eat, and they would help me a little bit. But they don't typically help a whole lot. And then I took a Prilosec, which somebody had told me in the comment sections that those are usually like for prolonged help. I had taken Prilosec back in the day, and it did help pretty immediately for me. It's not really doing that as much anymore. But so I took one of those, and then I made some herb tea, not peppermint, because a lot of people the other day, which was very helpful, were like, peppermint, kind of like sets off like GERD and acid reflux and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, well, maybe that's what happened that night. So I won't be drinking any more peppermint tea or anything. And then I came downstairs, or I was already downstairs when I took that stuff. And so I was like, I think I'm just going to sit outside for a little bit. And I was doing my prayers and my meditation, sitting out here. And I was getting ready to start watching this movie. And I was like, I think I'm going to listen to some music. And I turned on my iTunes where I had like left it off before when I was listening to it earlier. Like when I'm making my bed and just like doing like menial stuff around the house. I usually listen to some music like on my iTunes. I just have it on my phone, and then I don't put it on a speaker or anything. I just have it on my phone and have it in the background. And I have been listening to Masterpiece by Taylor Swift. And I don't know what it is, you know, like I was never a huge fan of Taylor Swift or a Swiftie or any of those things, but I have to say that recently, and not just with her newest album either, Midnights, but with a lot of her music that I have downloaded and that I've heard recently and then I've downloaded and whatever, a lot of her music like I really like weirdly relate to. And I was listening to that song Masterpiece. Oh, not Masterpiece, Mastermind, sorry. I was listening to All Too Well too, which says Masterpiece in it, which was making me think of that. But anyway, I was listening to the song Mastermind, which is really kind of a sad song, honestly. And something about it, like I was just like sitting here, I was just like listening to the words, which I think that her lyrics are really, really relatable. Kind of no matter what age you are, honestly. And it was weird because I hadn't really thought this until I was sitting here out here listening to her. I thought, I really wish I was going to see her in concert. And that was like really the first time that I really thought that since she started going on tour with this new tour. Melissa and Jason, I think, are going to Chicago, and they're taking their niece to go see her. And I was like, oh, I kind of wish I was going to see Taylor Swift. But I was listening to that song Mastermind, and something about it reminded me of Both Sides Now. Which, when I was growing up, I mostly heard the Judy Collins version of. In fact, one of my earliest memories that I have is when it was the first apartment that we moved into when we moved from Chicago to Indianapolis. And I would have been about 4 at the time because we moved here when I was 4. And it must have been around Christmas because I can remember there was a Christmas tree up. And my parents were listening to that song that was like blasted. And it talks about like ice cream castles in the sky. And I can just remember listening to those lyrics and always thinking, I mean, I had no idea at that age what that song was about or anything. You know, now I listen to Both Sides Now. And it's weird how like a song, like the lyrics change for you over time. Like, I think when I listen to the song Both Sides Now today, which is one of my all-time favorite songs and has been for many, many years, but it even has more meaning to me now when I look back on it, you know. It talks about clouds, and then it talks about life, and then it talks about, you know, like friends and things like that, and old friends say I've changed. Some things are lost and some things are gained. And it's weird, like the older that I get, and I think this is kind of like, I can remember there was a point when my mom would listen to a lot of that music, and then I I asked her at one point, I said, you don't really listen to like Judy Collins and Bob Dylan and stuff that much anymore, you know? And she said, no, that music kind of makes me sad. Like, it makes me look at my life in a different way. And I get it today, you know? And so anyway, my mom equally loved Joni Mitchell. And I have to say, I'm equally just a huge Joni Mitchell fan. And so, and I love Judy Collins too. I love a lot of Judy Collins songs. I love like My Father, The Moon's a Harsh Mistress. What's the song about her sister? She is a weaver, through her hands the bright thread travels. I love so much of her songs. I love the song The Blizzard, which talks about her going up the mountain on the way on the other side to Colorado, and she meets a stranger and she goes to his cabin. I love that song. She's such a storyteller, you know, but there's something haunting about Joni Mitchell's voice. And so Joni Mitchell has this version of Both Sides Now. I think she originally sang it. And it's a really slow version. It's a live version. And it's like my favorite version ever. In fact, if you've ever seen the movie, I think it's Love Anything, there's a scene in it when, I can't remember what her name is, that famous English actress, and she is, and the famous English actor that I can't think of his name either, but anyway, Hugh Grant, she finds out that he's cheating on her because he's bought like somebody like a piece of jewelry, and she finds it or something, and they play this version. That's how I found it, actually. They play this live version of this Joni Mitchell Both Sides Now song in that scene. And so I like was sitting here and I turned on the song and I started listening to it, and it was just, I started just having all of these flashes in my head of like my life and like all of these moments of my life, you know. It talks about old loves and it talks about memories and things, and then this also this, you know, Taylor Swift songs going through my head kind of at the same time, where she's talking about, you know, like running through sprinklers and things like that. And she doesn't say that, she says I think something about sprinkler water or something like that. But anyway, I was thinking about running through sprinklers and being a kid in the summertime and going to the boat with my dad and having the windows cranked open late at night in the summer, you know, and being able to hear the creek behind our house and the wind, or the trees bending in the wind, and animals in the woods while I would lay in my bed with my fan on, and I could feel the cool air coming through. And I would read, you know, like with like just like a little like bed lamp that I had like hooked on to into my bed like late at night, and I would read, you know, some mystery that I was reading, or Choose Your Own Adventure or something like that. And my mom would be in the other room and she'd have on the late movie or the news or something. And I was thinking about like first kisses with people, and like all the people that I've dated and been with, and I feel very blessed in that none of my relationships have ended horribly. Like, I'm definitely on civil terms with all of my exes. I mean, I really don't talk to them. I haven't talked to my last ex, since my friend Scotty passed away, so probably 2 or 3 years ago. And I hadn't talked to him before that in like 2 years or something. I don't even know how long. My other ex, I see stuff of his pop up on social media, but I haven't talked to him, and it's been years and years and years. I think Alex and I were in Florida, because Alex knows him too, individually from me. And so we were in Florida. He lives in Florida now, and we like reached out to him to ask him if he wanted to like get together. And like have a drink somewhere or something like that. And he couldn't do it, but I hadn't seen him in like, well, he and I broke up when I was 27, 26. It was right before I was diagnosed with epilepsy. It was like the year before, so I think I was 26. No, 27. Seems crazy. 27, 37, 37, 47. So he and I have been broken up for... I mean, I've been in, like, long-term relationships. Well, my ex and I guess, we were together for 6.5 years. It feels like we were together longer than that. And then Alex and I have been together almost 15 years. It'll be 15 years in August, which is just absolutely crazy to me. But I was just sitting out here and I was thinking about all this kind of stuff, and I was kind of like, I want to talk. I just like want to talk about this stuff. And so I was like very, you know, like every day I always want to make my vlog, but I don't feel like compelled to make my vlog. Like I don't know if that makes sense, but like I'm always excited to make my vlog, but I don't feel like I want to sit down. I got things to say, like I got things I want to talk about, which I don't really have anything to really say or talked about. Nothing of importance tonight. I just was in like kind of a talkative mood, and wasn't really in the mood to pick up the phone and call anybody. So, you know, when Tanya's out of town, I never say anything about it on video, which I'm sure at times when I don't mention Tanya, people are probably like, oh, well, Peter hasn't mentioned Tanya, so that probably means that she's out of town. So since she's coming back tomorrow, I can say something, but Tanya has been out of town since last Wednesday morning. She left at like 4 o'clock in the morning last Wednesday, which is why we didn't go to the meeting last Tuesday and why we didn't go to the meeting tonight, because she doesn't get home until Wednesday. And she's been in the Bahamas. She's been in, I'm going to horribly mispronounce this, but she's been in Eleuthera. It's where the pigs swim in the water and you can feed the pigs and stuff like that. So Tanya's best friend, that they were like best friend couples with, I've told this story on here before, her husband died of brain cancer several years ago. And Tanya's been friends with this woman for like, well, probably 10 years longer than we have, so like 35 years. And they lived in like this small town together, and they like raised their kids like next to each other. This woman's got 3 daughters, and Tanya has her son, and he like is the same age as like her oldest daughters. And so one of her daughters got married, and they were like rented this like amazing house, this like 10-bedroom house with like an infinity pool over the ocean, and in Eleuthera. And so that's where Tanya and Eric and their son Nick went for this wedding. So they've been there for a week. And like Tanya's phone doesn't typically work when she's like out of the country. So she'd been like texting me like pictures of stuff, but she couldn't call. And sometimes when like we're out of the country or wherever, like we can't call through like FaceTime or through Facebook or whatever. I don't know why she didn't try that, but I knew that every day she had things that she was kind of doing. So, but you know, I mean, when Tanya's here, we talk 2 to 3 times a day, and to be honest with you, like I didn't really realize like how dependent I was on our friendship until this week. This is probably the longest that we have gone without talking, and I don't even know how long. I hadn't talked to her since Wednesday. I hadn't talked to her since Tuesday night of last week. And so she called tonight, and I was like, oh my God, it's so good to hear from you. And so we were talking on the phone, and we had talked for about 15, 20 minutes, and I started going in and telling her about this show with Patricia Arquette called High Desert. And she was like, hey babe, I don't mean to be rude. She was like, but this is like a minute. This is like $1 a minute phone call. She was like, because of like my plan or whatever. She was like, so can I talk to you about the TV shows when I get back tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, that's totally fine. She's like, I just really wanted to hear your voice. She was like, I miss you so much. And I was like, could you stay another week? And she's like, I could stay another week. She was like, but she was like, I miss you and I miss my dogs and stuff. And she's like, yeah, so I'm kind of ready to get back a little bit. But she's been having a great time. She's unbelievable time. So she was telling me all about it, but I miss her. My other friend had volunteered to come and pick me up to take me to the meeting, but she would have had to have driven like 25-30 minutes because she lives real close to the meeting. 25-30 minutes to pick me up and then back to the meeting and then back here to drop me off and then 25-30 minutes home. And I was like, don't even worry about it. And Alex even volunteered to like drive me halfway and whatever. I was like, I just won't go to my home group these 2 weeks, and which was nice because I got to hang out with Alex tonight. I'm sure he kind of wants a night alone. He kind of likes his Tuesday nights. It's so funny because Tanya and I always talk about that. Well, actually, so her husband Eric and her son Nick have been like going out to dinner on Tuesday nights, which is nice. And but we always talk about like how our husbands love their Tuesday nights because like we're gone, and you know, so they can like do whatever they want to do, you know, and watch their shows and whatever, and without us bugging them. And because I'm always like, I say to Alex, like, I'm always like, I'm sorry that like I have to leave for the night or whatever, you know, and he's like, don't feel bad, like I get the house to myself. Like he never does, you know, because I'm always here, like literally I'm always here. So but anyway, I was just like, you know, I'm just in kind of like a thoughtful, talkative mood. And I think I'm just gonna like turn on the camera and just start talking. And I may only do it for a couple more minutes. I'm like at 21 minutes already. And then, you know, vlog some more tomorrow. I don't know. This is kind of like helping settle my stomach a little bit, honestly, just to kind of talk. And just sit and relax. This chair is like super comfortable. It's kind of like my safe place a little bit, other than my bed. The only thing is that if I sit for too long, like my butt starts hurting. I thought I heard my phone beeping. I don't know. Alex asked me tonight when I was like sitting up, I was like sitting in bed and I was like kind of holding my head like this, like Boo in my lap. And he was like, you're not okay, are you? And I said, no, like I'm really like, it's really hurting a lot. And it was really weird too, because it was kind of like the acid reflux like happened. And then it was like after that went away, it was like then it started hurting in my stomach. I could, like, it was weird. Like it was like they didn't happen like together. It was like that happened afterwards. So I almost kind of wondered if it wasn't like the acid like coming up and going back, like that if, I don't know if that even makes sense or if that's even true, or maybe I'm just making stuff up. But he was like, does it feel similar to what you had before? And I said, it feels very similar, but not as strong. And he was like, and he just kind of looked at me and he said, do you want me to take you to the hospital? Which I thought was so weird because I'd just been talking in my vlog today about like going to the hospital and how safe I felt at the hospital and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, I mean, immediately when he asked that, like my thought went to talking about it in the vlog. Isn't that so weird? And I thought, oh my God, like I just talked about how safe I felt at the hospital. I can't go back. Like I mean, not that if I have to go back to the hospital, I have to go back to the hospital. But I think my other fear is, and this is why I hope the pain goes away and that maybe it is just from the acid reflux, and then I don't know why the acid reflux is happening and I'm gonna have to figure that out. So I'll schedule an appointment with my doctor if it continues. But the other fear that I have is if this tea tastes really good. This is the chamomile tea from Mods. I love the Mods teas. They're so fantastic. And this is the chamomile one, and it's real smooth. And it's not like a really strong, it's chamomile, lavender chamomile. It's not like a really strong lavender taste, and it's not like a really strong chamomile taste. This is my favorite. outside mug, by the way. This Peanuts winter mug where they're like skating and sledding and stuff like that. I guess they're not skating, they're just, I guess it's just Linus. Not even the Peanuts, but it says Peanuts on it somewhere. Somewhere it says it. Oh, there, it says it on the other side. Anyway, I think my fear, if it comes back, is, well, then it wasn't the medicine. Because they told me that with the medication changes from the Depakote to the Keppra, that should stop it from happening. And that unlike other people that have pancreatitis that is a result of gallbladder, gallstones, other issues, things like that, where it comes back multiple times, and then they end up having to have their gallbladder taken out or whatever. Like with me, when they did all the scans and all of the, I mean, they did every test in the world. I mean, so many people were like, you need to have this test done. And I'm like, they did that when I was in the hospital. And people would say, you need to have this test done. And I'm like, they did that when I was in the hospital. They did every test. Every test came back negative. And all my organs looked great. They looked fine. And so they kept on kind of like ruling things out, which is why they ended up coming up with the fact that they were like, it has to be from this, right? And so what my doctor said was that because it was a medication change and it wasn't something as a result of like your gallbladder, because then what happens is like the pancreatitis goes away, but it typically like flares back up again. Like that is pretty typical of a lot of people that have pancreatitis, that it flares back up again. They have to go back to the hospital like maybe 3 times in a year or over the span of 2 years or something, and they end up having their gallbladder taken out, or they have gallstones in their ducts and things like that, or whatever. There's like, you know, other things that can happen. So, because I've had so many people be like, oh, if you have your gallbladder taken out, you'll be fine. Well, if it's the medication, then I should never have the pancreatitis again. It should never flare up. Because it was a result of me taking the Depakote. I'm not on Depakote anymore, therefore it shouldn't be affecting that, because Keppra doesn't do that. But if it flares back up again and I have the pancreatitis again, then what we know is it wasn't from the medication. Which, like I said in my vlog the other day, my neurologist was like, I mean, the true test will be time. I mean, we'll know over time if it doesn't come back for 2 to 3 years, you know, that it was the medication. Like, that's the only true test that we're going to know. But we can't. This is now making me really thirsty for water. I don't know why. Maybe because it's hot or something. I've been drinking a lot of water lately. So anyway, it was funny because I mentioned this earlier in my vlog that I did today, but somebody said, you know, like, Peter, I love you, but like, I'm kind of tired of hearing like the weight loss medical stories. I'm like, to be honest with you, I've said that to so many of my friends. I'm like, I am so tired of talking about this, but yet it's like really, I mean, it's like the only thing I have going on in my life. It's so boring. I mean, I know it is so boring, you know, it's like, I just, like, I had this moment tonight when I was thinking, because, like, Caroline and I, like, the pool's opening. Well, they're not sure if it's opening Sunday or Monday, but Caroline was like, okay, next Wednesday, let's go to the pool for an hour. Because she can pick me up in the afternoon, later in the afternoon. And I said, okay, it's supposed to be, like, 85 next Wednesday. So I said, that'll be perfect. We can, like, you know, go to the pool for, like, an hour and whatever. And so I had this moment when I was like, I can't see the time on there. I had a moment when I was sitting out here earlier and I was listening to music and stuff, and I thought to myself, like, I could just see myself sitting on like the edge of the steps, like drinking an iced coffee, and like the sun glinting off the water and whatever. And like in that moment, like in that vision that I had, like I felt so good. And part of it was that I was thinner and I was fitting in new swimsuits and stuff like that. But most of it was that I just felt good, you know, like I felt healthy. And I do feel better. Like, you know, one of the things that's been really helpful that a couple people commented on my vlog was they were like, go back and watch your vlogs from when you first came back. Like, you're so much better now than you were then. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even think of it that way, you know? And like, I think because progress is so slow that sometimes you don't even realize it. It's like, you know, if you've ever lost weight, like with your partner, like I can tell you, like, and this is true, like everybody in my life has told me how much weight I've lost except for Alex. Like, he's noticed it. He'll be like, oh, I can tell that you've lost some weight, you know, like, but like other people will like see me and they'll be like, you've literally lost like a ton of weight. I mean, people stop me on the street, like neighbors, and they're like, oh my God, like you've lost so much weight. And, you know, like Alex will, like every once in a while, he'll be like, oh, like I can really tell today with like, it stopped. But Alex will be like, you know, every once in a while he'll be like, well, you know, like, oh, with what you have on today, I can really tell that you've lost some weight and whatever. But I think because he's with me every day, he doesn't see like the progress because he's there every single day. And you know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't see it because it's like the same thing with yourself. And I think sometimes you don't recognize or acknowledge your own progress. And so for me, it's like, well, but I'm still sitting in this chair and I still don't feel great and whatever. Although I have to say that the last couple days I have felt pretty good. I'm just super tired. Like, that's the thing. And that's part of what I mean by saying that I just really want to start feeling healthy again. I really want to feel good. Like, I'm tired of being tired all the time. It's like being in recovery where we say we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. But I am. Like, I'm tired of being tired all the time. And I know that that's because of the Keppra, and I know that that's just going to take time. And I will say, I feel a little bit better with that than I did like maybe 2 weeks ago. Like menial things like making the bed. I still get real tired doing that stuff, or like walking up and down the stairs. Like, I still get tired doing it. Caroline and I were like walking somewhere today, and I said, let me hold on to you for a second. I'm feeling a little bit lightheaded. That's the other thing, is I feel lightheaded a lot. And so being tired and being lightheaded are both like side effects of the Keppra, and that's supposed to go away after a while. I don't know. A lot of people on the vlog have said that like they've been on it or their partner's been on it, and it was actually like a year before they started feeling better. So I'm hoping that that's not the case, but I just want to feel better, you know? Like, I want to really have an enjoyable summer and whatever. And like, if I'm just sitting here watching a TV show like at night, I mean, I'm having an enjoyable time. Like, I don't feel typically like, I mean, the acid reflux thing is something that just started coming up, and now like my stomach's starting to feel better since I just sat down and talked tonight, which I don't know, maybe this vlog was a saving grace tonight for me, you know? But you know, if I'm just sitting here and I'm just like watching TV shows or whatever, which I actually just looked before I was listening to music, I just remembered this, that High Desert, the new episode of High Desert just came on at midnight on Apple TV. So I'm going to watch that, and then I'm going to watch this movie, Missing. It's about this girl who, it's actually the younger sister in Euphoria. Is it Zendaya? I think it's Zendaya. Zendaya's younger sister in Euphoria. It's her. She plays like the main star, and her mom and stepdad, or mom and boyfriend, go to Colombia, and then she doesn't return, and so she uses like social media to track her down or something like that. It looks really good, and a lot of people have recommended it to me, so I'm going to watch that tonight. Caroline said, I asked her about Mother with Jennifer Lopez, and she said she really liked it, but she said it was like action and adventure, and those are the kind of movies that she really likes. But anyway, I just want to feel like back to, I haven't really felt myself like in a really long time. I mean, truth be told, you know, I mean, it's been before the accident that I haven't really felt myself, and that I feel like there's been something, you know, going on that I felt some way or another. And then this whole thing came up with the pancreatitis, which I totally didn't expect. And I mean, I'm very grateful for my life, and I'm very grateful for the health that I do have, and I say that every, you know, night in my prayers. It's interesting, my prayers have kind of changed a little bit. I don't know, for those of you out there that believe in prayer, you'll be interested in this maybe, but for those of you that aren't, I never said this before, but now to my higher power, so there's a lot of prayers that I do. Um, and then I just kind of talk about my day. It's like very conscious conversation that I have with my higher power where I just say like thankful for this and and allowing me to do this for the day and whatever. And um but I started saying, I don't know what it was. It was like one night I was like sitting out here and I was like looking and like the stars or the moon or something was really full, and I don't know, it just got me thinking in some way. And I was like, I'm so grateful for my and I have a very just talk relationship with my higher power. Like I talk to my higher power as if they were standing like right in front of me and I was having a conversation with them. And I just was like, I'm so grateful for the relationship that I have with you, and that you've watched over me and protected me and guided me and helped me, through the years. And then I always say that I'm grateful for my life, my health, and my sobriety. Those are the three things I'm most grateful for. And I am like, I know that probably in a lot of my vlogs it comes across as like I'm complaining about medical issues or I'm complaining about my health and whatever. And, it's hard. It's like it bogs you down and it just like, when I was going through like the back stuff and whatever, which is so crazy to me that like for so long my back hurt and now it's like I have no like back issues whatsoever. And so like I know that eventually the tiredness from the Keppra will go away and the pain in my stomach will go. I mean, I know it'll all eventually like go away. I know that. But when you're like in the middle of it, I think it's kind of hard to see outside of it. And I think if you're somebody that has like chronic pain, you'll totally know what I'm talking about, because I don't have chronic pain and yet I even relate to just a small part of it. But I think it's hard. I think like in those moments that I'm feeling the worst, if somebody came to me and said, and this is just my truth, if somebody came to me and just said, well, you need to be really, I'd say, if somebody said, you need to be really grateful for this and whatever, I'd be like, okay, I understand that and I get that, but like in this moment, I'm like not feeling great. Like this is not the moment to come to me with gratitude and thankfulness. Like, give me 5 minutes, let me feel a little bit better. It's hard to feel that way when you're just not feeling great, I think for me, one of the things that really helps me be so grateful is, I mean, A, I'm still here, like that's number one, paramount. B, I don't have the things that I have, like the back pain's gone, like my stomach is starting to feel better, like they figured out the medication changes, like it's like certain things are starting to improve. And so like I know that they will, I think it's just frustrating when you can see it down the road and yet you want it like right now, like you just want to feel better. Like I really truly have like a real appreciation of just even having just a glimpse of it. Like I really, 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 because there's a lot of people like in the Vloggerinos group that post like how often they go to the hospital and that they'll be like, oh, I went to the ER again, or like I just got out of the hospital, I was there for 2 weeks, or I have this medical condition or whatever, like I really feel for you. Like I don't really know how you do it. Like I guess you don't really have any other option, which is like, but I think that's even so much strength in itself to just continue to put one foot in front of the other and just endure and say, I'm going to do this thing, like I'm just going to push myself. And if I have to go to the hospital, I have to go to the hospital. If I have to have this procedure done, I'm going to have that procedure done. Like it gets kind of depleting at some point, when, especially when you're hearing like so many different things from so many different people. And my thing was like, in all honesty, like the pancreatitis was super painful and all that kind of stuff, but really what I went through was nothing in comparison to what like most people go through. I mean, let's just be for real. I mean, there's so many people that are going through so many horrific things, that it's nothing like that, so it's really given me a greater appreciation of people that are chronically ill, and that a lot of their doctors really don't have answers for them, and will say like, I don't know, like what we're going to do, like, and there's really no solution to what they're doing other than just rest, so Do you guys want to hear something sad? Sure, Peter, why not? But tell us something sad. That'll really make our day. So there was this neighbor. Well, she still is a neighbor. Really sweet older lady. And I always like try to talk to her, but like I have to go down to the street because she can't hear very well. But she had this like really, really sweet dog. And its name was Boo. And I said to her one time, I said, oh, I have a Boo too. And Boo Radley was out there and they were like sniffing butts and stuff like that. You know how dogs do. And this is like last summer sometime, I think, when she and I met. And so she'll walk by and I'll walk down to the end of the street or by the street and she'll say, where's Boo? And I'll say, he's asleep inside or whatever, you know. She walks a lot like early, like 7, 8 o'clock. And so when I asked her, I said, oh, did you name your dog Boo after Boo Radley from To Kill a Mockingbird? And she said, no, she named it from that song, and a dog named Boo or something like that. Do you guys know the song I'm talking about? It's like an old-timey song. And I was like, oh, I know what song you're talking about. My mom used to like hum that song a lot. Or something like, some song like that. Do you know that song my mom used to sing a lot that I always sing to Tanya? It's that one, that trailer for sale or rent, rooms to rent for 50 cents, ain't got no cigarettes, king of the road. Do you remember that song? Anyway, and then one night Tanya put it on the car. She like pulled it up on her Spotify and played it for me. And I was like, oh my God, my mom used to love this song. She would sing this all the time. I think my mom's stepdad used to sing it. So she would sing it because of that. But anyway, so my neighbor, he was walking his dog tonight. And we were talking because he just went to Las Vegas with his father-in-law because his father-in-law is like 85 and loves to gamble and didn't have anybody to go to Las Vegas with, so he volunteered. So he went for like a week with them, and they went and saw like some Frank Sinatra impersonator show, and he loved that. He was telling me about all the restaurants they went to. They went to a German restaurant, and they went to Italian restaurant, the same one twice, and they went to some ribeye steakhouse. Anyway, he was telling me all these different things, but he was getting ready to leave, and he said, your little Boo is the only Boo left in the neighborhood now. And I said, what do you mean? And he was like, well, you know the woman that walks the dog and, and has the other dog named Boo? And I said, oh, yeah. And he goes, well, I saw her a couple days ago, which is so strange because she's walked by here like twice. And I've been on the phone when she walks by, and so I haven't gone to talk to her, but she hasn't been with her dog either time that she's walked. One time she was with another woman, and then another time she was by herself, but she usually walks down here and then turns around. And he said, I saw her a couple days ago, and she didn't have her dog. And so I said to her something like, and he's like, she doesn't, like, she has a hard time she's like really has a hard time hearing. And so he was like, I was, trying to ask her, like, well, what happened? Like, where's Boo? And whatever. And apparently the dog had cancer for a really long time, and she ended up having, to have her dog put down because of cancer. It just makes me so sad. Little guy, he was so sweet. He was so cute. And she walked him every night. Like, she walked him all around. I think she walked him twice a day, like all around the neighborhood. He looked real healthy to me. So sad. It's like with Tucker. I was telling my neighbor this actually right after that. Because he was like, well, because when Caroline brought me back today, she sat over here for a while because she was waiting for a friend to text her to say she was like leaving to go to dinner because they were meeting up at the Rusty Bucket so Caroline could have her salad and her French onion soup. So anyway, but Boo Radley was like running all around, and he ran across the street to go see the neighbor across the street. He loves her so much. And she's always like, he's got she calls him Boo Radley. She says, Boo Radley looks like he's got springs on his feet. And he loves to like go over there and sniff her garden. And then she like walks into her garage, and he like follows her in her garage. He's so cute. He's so funny. Like, he's like that neighbor kid, that goes and says hi to all the neighbors. Like, that's totally Boo Radley. And she's like, everybody in the neighborhood loves Boo Radley. Everybody in the neighborhood knows Boo Radley. He's their favorite dog. And, But she and Caroline both, because she came over here and was talking to Caroline and I, she and Caroline both were like, he's just like a puppy dog, you know? And then my neighbor tonight was like, well, Boo will probably live to be like 15 or older. Like, little dogs live to be a long time. And I was like, well, I hope, you know? But the thing is that, like, Tucker was really good, even though Tucker had heart disease and he was on the medication. But he never got, like, really sick like Pee-Pee did with the heart disease. Like, I mean, Pee-Pee, like, had the horrible cough and all that kind of stuff. Like, Tucker never really got that sick. And Tucker didn't die from the heart disease. Tucker died from having a mass on his, behind his spleen that was, like, bleeding, a bleeding mass. And, it was, like, super aggressive is what the vet told us. So, anyway. But, you know, like, Tucker was, like, fine. Like, completely fine running around, like, 3 days before until he wasn't fine. You know, and I just feel like dogs are like that. It's like, I mean, Tucker was completely fine. And then I can remember, like, one day, Alex and I were like, Tucker seems, I don't even know if I've really talked about this on the vlog. We're just really still kind of shell-shocked about it, if you want to know the truth. Like, Alex really can't even talk about it. Like, he's still so upset about Tucker. And then when he talks about Tucker, it brings up Pee-Pee, you know, and, it's hard, you know, like, they've been our kids. And the entire era of our relationship, we've had these 3 dogs, you know, and now Boo Radley is the last one. And, which is weird because, like, I never thought it would be that way, but I kind of always thought it would be that way. Does that make sense? Like, it didn't, like, rationally make sense that Boo Radley would be the last one. But, like, I kind of knew he would be. I don't know. Do you guys remember me talking about that back in the day? And I was always really worried, like, what he would do because he wouldn't understand that they were gone and whatever, which he doesn't really seem to be bothered by that a whole lot. I do think he seems rather lonely. Like, he barks at the neighbor dog a lot to come play with him and stuff like that. And when he sees other dogs, like, walking down the street, like, he loves it and stuff to see other dogs. And so I think he's just kind of lonely, you know? He gets so excited when Alex comes home and follows Alex all around and just, like, stands on the stairs waiting for Alex to go upstairs and watch TV in bed because, like, Boo Radley loves to be in bed. He's been super antsy, though, the last couple nights. Like, just cannot, like, rest and, like, get settled down in bed. He, like, jumps down and jumps back up and jumps down and jumps back up, and Alex has to, like, pick him up and put him back on the bed when he refuses to jump back up. But, you know, Tucker, it was, like, over... Well, he passed away on a Tuesday night because it was after my meeting that we took him to the emergency vet. And so it would have been that weekend. It would have been, like, Friday or Saturday. We noticed that he was, like, super lethargic. Like, really tired. And I said something to Alex. I was like, he just is not acting himself or whatever. And we had actually had a bunch of tests done. It was interesting because that wasn't when I was back on YouTube yet. I was still not making videos. And somebody had posted on Twitter, I don't think I've ever shared this actually, but this really pissed me off. Because I wasn't back on social media and I wasn't making videos. And Alex and I had taken Tucker to the vet. And they didn't mean anything nasty by it, and they didn't say anything nasty by it. It was very nice how they said it, but I just kind of felt like it was a little bit of an invasion of privacy to some degree. Tucker, I think that was like on a Friday, or maybe it was like on a Wednesday, and we took him in on a Thursday. I can't remember, but we were freaked. And so, and I still, of course, didn't feel great, and so we took him to the vet to have x-rays done, of which it then was going to take them, like, the radiologist was, like, out of town, so it was going to take them, like, 4 or 5 days to read these results. Which ended up happening was when we went to the emergency vet, they were able to do, like, a scan, like, right there, because they had, like, a scanner at the emergency vet, that was, like, we were basically waiting for those results, which they would have found out that he had this mass on his spleen. But when we went to the vet, somebody tweeted out, and they were like, I think I just saw Peter Monn and his husband come to the vet that I was at with his little dog who had his tongue sticking out. Okay, now mind you, like this, I'll tell you why this pissed me off, because I'm not feeling good, okay? And B, Tucker's like super, super sick. And we go into the vet, and there's like literally like 4 people in the waiting area. You know, there's like nobody there. And I'm sitting there, and we're like holding Tucker and whatever, waiting to go back. And then like I leave, and somebody tweets out that they saw me at the vet. Like I just felt like it was like this. I'm not on social media. I'm not posting anything. I haven't made an announcement of when I'm coming back yet, because I said that I wasn't going to come back till like May or whatever. And I don't know, it felt really intrusive to me. It really pissed me off, kind of. And, but I guess it's part of what goes along with it. And they didn't mean anything nasty about it. I mean, they said it in like a really nice way. I think they even said like, I hope the dog's okay or something like that. And maybe I like got upset about it because of just like the condition of how Tucker was at the time, and I was just so worried about him. But then over the course of the weekend, he just got more and more lethargic. And then that Tuesday, like Alex panicked. I went to my meeting. I think it was the first meeting back that I had even gone. I think I'm almost positive. It was like the first meeting back I had gone to. Maybe not, I don't know. And I got out of the meeting, like, because I don't have my phone on when I'm in a meeting. And I got out of the meeting, and Alex had texted me like a bunch of times. And he was like, I'm taking the dog to the emergency vet. Like, he can't stand up. He can't, like, his eyes are rolling in the back of his head. Like, I'm completely panicked. And I was like, please just wait until Tanya gets me home. Because Tanya was bringing me home. And so she, like, brought me right home. And as soon as I came in, like, Alex was, like, literally standing with the keys in his hand. He was like, let's go. And so we went to the emergency vet. And, yeah, it was just horrible. Like, Tucker couldn't even stand. Like, you would like set him down to stand, and he would just like, and his head was just like lolling around. It was just so sad. The weird thing about it was, in talking to our friend Melissa, their dog had passed away like the year before. Their dog had passed away from the exact same thing, that had like a really aggressive mass on its behind or on its spleen or something like that. It was like a bleeding mass. And I'll never forget the vet. She took a syringe and like went into like his stomach area or something like that, wherever your spleen is. And she like brought it to us, the syringe. And she's like, I want to show you this. And we were like, what? And it was like all blood. And she's like, he is literally internally bleeding to death. And I mean, it was so horrible. I miss that little guy so much. He was such a sweet dog, you know? He and Boo both. I have such a hard time with it because I know this is silly and they probably didn't know and they didn't care or whatever, but like they were litter mates. And until after that night, they literally had never spent a night apart. Their entire life, they had never spent a night apart, you know? Their whole life. I was so worried about little Boo and how he was going to respond to it, and that he wasn't going to understand what was going on. And so many people like right away were like, you got to get another dog, you got to give him another brother and whatever. And Alex and I were like, no. Alex just kind of shut down a little bit emotionally after that. He was like, we're just going to be the best dog dads that we can be to Boo. Like, we're going to give him all of our attention and he is just like all in with Boo Radley. But he was like, we're going to be the best dog dads that we can be to Boo Radley. Like, we're not going to. And Alex to this day, he's like, he is not even sure he wants to get another dog. That's why whenever we do Q&As, like I don't, like we get lots of questions about getting another dog and whatever. I don't even bring them up in the Q&A. Like I don't even read them because he gets so emotional talking about it. But like Alex isn't even really, he's like, I mean, we've had a lot of discussions about it. We've even talked about it in marriage counseling because Alex is like, you can get as many dogs as you want. He was like, and I'll help with them and, you know, I'll feed them and whatever, but they won't be my dogs. They'll be your dogs. He was like, I cannot deal with the emotional attachment to having more dogs that we're going to get so close to and so attached that could pass away. He was like, I cannot do that. And I think his opinion will change, but I'm not going to force that opinion to change, you know. I will, and I've told him this and he knows this. I'm like, I will always have a dog. It's very important to me. You know, I'm hoping Boo Radley lives to be 25. I really do. Like, I'm hoping for that every day. I think my next dog will be another Chihuahua. I've already talked to Melissa because, you know, Melissa works a lot with rescues she said, like, there's a great Chihuahua rescue here in town. I wouldn't be opposed to getting to littermate Chihuahuas again, although littermates don't always do well together. We just were really lucky with Boo and Tucker. I actually think if I was going to do 2 dogs again, 3 was great for us at that time, but 3's really hard to, the battery just went to the halfway mark. I can't believe I've almost been talking for an hour. But 3 is really hard to take care of, but I will say that they kind of run in their own little pack and they take care of it themselves and, you know, other than feeding them and taking them out, like, I mean, they just kind of like are their best friends. Like, they kind of entertain each other and stuff, which I think is great. I think definitely, like, one dog, like Boo is lonely. I can tell that. I also think and I know whenever I say this, there's a lot of people that are like, you don't know that, and that might not be true, and whatever. I know my dog. Like, my dog gets very confused very easily. And, like, when Sarah brings her dog over here, he, like, is crawling. He doesn't, so, like, I know my dog. And my fear is that if we got another dog right now, brought another puppy in here, like, I think Boo would completely shut down and be sad. I do think dogs have, like, serious emotions. And I am worried that he would spend, like, 23 hours a day in his crate and he would just never be around us. And I can't handle doing that. Like, you know, Alex and I decided we're going to be the best dog dads we can be to Boo Radley until he's not here anymore. And so, and that's just how it's going to be, period, you know? But yeah, I've talked to Melissa about, like, the Chihuahua rescue here in town, and she's like, you know, I mean, you might not get, like, a puppy. She was like, you might get a year-old Chihuahua. She was like, you know, and she was like, and it might not, like, if you want it today, you might have to wait 6 weeks or, you know, 3 months to get one. She was like, but she's like, there's great Chihuahua rescue here in town, and I just loved, well, I love Boo and Tucker having a Papatis, but I mean, like, whatever dog I have next, I believe firmly enough in rescues that I will get a rescue dog. If I go somewhere and there's a rescue, I would love to have a mutt. I think mutts are, like, a great mixture of, like, just to have, like, you know, I mean, Boo and Tucker are mutts. Like, people are always like, oh, they're designer dogs. I'm like, they're mutts. They're Papillons mixed with Maltese. Okay, they're mutts. And I think that's part of why they're so docile and they're so sweet. Or Tucker was, he's gone now, but they're just a really sweet breed, you know. I always say Boo Radley wouldn't hurt a fly. I mean, he'd follow it around all over town, but he wouldn't, you know, ever hurt it. And, I mean, he doesn't have any teeth now to hurt anything anyway, but, I would, you know, I would get some kind of mutt or whatever. I'm not, like, super compelled to get a dog that, like, it looks a certain way. Like, I don't really care about that. I just loved having a Chihuahua. A PP was a great dog. And, you know, I miss the camaraderie that I had with him and the personality. And that's not to say that if I get another one, it will be the same way, because I don't know. But I think that's probably where I'll start. There's a couple different organizations here in town that Melissa's introduced me to, rescues that I like follow on Facebook, and like I see when their dogs come up that they're like, you know, adopting out and whatever, and I look at them and whatever. So, and a couple of friends of ours have adopted dogs from a couple of these different rescues, and I'm also a believer, like Tanya always says, that rescue dogs pick their owners. And I definitely believe that. Like Melissa and Jason fostered, well, so they had their dog, Sunny, passed away, and then they now have two other dogs. Sunny had a sister that they have, and then they have another boy dog now, and all three dogs they fostered, and then ended up adopting. And I can remember at that time saying something, because Melissa was like, I just feel like these dogs picked me. Like, and they were never dog people. Like, Melissa and Jason they were cat people. They were like, we'll never have dogs, and now they've had 3 dogs. But Tanya, it stopped. I can't believe that this is the second day in a row. Same day, basically, that I've gone on for an hour. But Tanya was like, oh yeah, I believe that rescue dogs, like, pick their owners. Like, she's like, I firmly believe that. I don't know. But I believe enough in rescuing dogs that will definitely be what I do going from here on out. Honestly, if we had a bigger place and we lived on like a farm or something like that, I don't even think we'd have to live on a farm. Just if we just had a bigger place with like a fenced-in yard, I would adopt senior rescue dogs. Alex is kind of like, when I've talked about it with him, because I've really wanted to get involved in that, and he's like, I mean, if that's what you want to do, he was like, you can rescue senior rescue dogs. He was like, but I just want you to know, like, emotionally, I don't know that I can handle that, because like, to have a dog for a year or two and then it pass away, and like, you've given all this help and care to it and whatever, but I really, really believe in that. Like, my heart, I really feel like there's a special place in heaven for people that rescue senior rescue dogs. That have a lot of medical issues, and they take that on, and they take them to the vet, and, you know, those people might have lived with somebody for 15 years of their life, and then they pass away, and they have nowhere to go, and they take them in, or they have medical problems, and somebody just leaves them somewhere, and they rescue them, and whatever. Like, I just feel like those people that do that, like, there is such a kindness and generosity in their heart. I mean, they are really great people, and I have really felt, like, pulled to do that. Not because I'm the kindest, greatest person, but I think that if you do that, I think it almost kind of makes you like want to be a nicer, kinder person, you know, because you're giving to this little animal that really has nothing out there in the world, you know, and you're saying, I'm going to give you the best 2-3 years of your life before you're no longer here. I just think that's just such a gentle path to live your life, you know, like, I think that's just like the coolest thing. So yeah, but I understand Alex not wanting to get attached to a dog that you're going to only have for like 2 years, but I guess you'd never really know, you know? And I honestly don't know that really maybe. I think it takes a really strong person. I wish I could, you know, say that, well, I definitely know that I could handle it, but I don't know that I could. I have friends of mine that work around like senior dogs, senior rescue dogs and whatever, and they're like, it's really, really hard. You know, it's like, because you get so emotionally attached to them, and they have such different personalities and all of them and stuff, and then like, you know, one day they're just not here anymore. I think it's probably very, you know, I don't know, but I think it would be so hard. I don't know. I don't, like, you know, the thing is, like, people ask all the time, like, in Q&As, and I'll get comments about it and whatever, and people will be like, are you going to get another dog? When are you going to get another dog? And honestly, like, I don't. Like, I mean, I've thought about, like, the Chihuahua thing, and I've talked about it to Melissa just to kind of, like, prepare ahead of time, but, like, I haven't talked to Melissa about it probably, I don't know, like, in over 6 months to a year or something like that. But I just kind of wanted to know for down the road. But like, kind of where I'm at with it now is I'm not even going to think about it until Boo's not here anymore. And hopefully we're many moons away from that happening, because I can't even go there. Melissa and Jason just got back, actually, from being out of town. They were in Vegas this past weekend, I think like Wednesday through Sunday, with Aaron and Eric. It was Aaron's birthday. And Aaron's son, who just turned 21 this year, he went with them. So it was kind of like his 21st birthday and Aaron's birthday and whatever. And it was like they went out there for Aaron and Melissa's birthday because their birthdays are really close together because Melissa's just had her birthday. And then Jason and Melissa took their niece that just graduated from Clemson and her like best friend. They took them. And so they all went to Vegas together and had a really great time. They saw Katy Perry and went to the pool and went out to some great places for dinner. And so they had a really good time. I actually called Melissa earlier and she was busy, but because I was going to have her give me the rundown, but all the pictures looked great and they had a really good time. So yeah, all my friends are traveling right now, except for Caroline. I'm so glad I had a good time with Caroline today, and I'm excited about next week and us going to the pool and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be fun. Can't believe summer. I really, to be honest with you, like I was sitting here the other day and I was like, I cannot believe, like it feels like it was yesterday that I was vlogging. And remember, I was like, I don't know that I'm going to be able to make it through the winter, like out here on the patio. It's going to be so cold and whatever. And I was counting down the days to like when the pool opened. Do you guys remember that? And now, like, we're literally like days away. Okay, so I think the pool, they said Sunday or Monday, but they're pretty sure it's going to open on Monday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we've got 5 days left until the pool is open. I mean, like, this is crazy to me. Like, I cannot believe that we were so close to the pool being open. I'm so excited about it. And it's summer, you know, after this weekend, summer's here. All these people were asking, they're like, what are you doing for race day? What are you doing for race day? And I'm like, well, Alex is going to the race, so I'll be sitting in my chair on the front porch, probably vlogging. Probably ordering a sandwich from Piata and vlogging. I will say this, the DoorDash people, well, first of all, DoorDash is super expensive. Like, I feel like they upcharge the food on the menu, number one. I feel like, I don't know why, but I feel like it's more expensive on the DoorDash menu than it is if you actually go there in person. Number two, there's a service charge. Number three, there's a tip, which I always like try to like tip the highest amount I can for the drivers because I think that's mostly how they make their money. But I have to say this, like, first of all, it comes really quick. Like, my Piata is here in like 20 minutes, in all honesty. The drivers are so friendly. They are so nice, because I always, like, meet them out, like, they'll park, like, on the street, and then, like, I meet them, like, halfway. And they're always so, they're like, how are you doing today? And I'm like, good. And they're like, are you enjoying the weather? And I'm like, yeah. And, like, this girl today, she had this cute sweatshirt on. I was like, oh, I love your sweatshirt. She's like, oh, my God, thank you so much. And I was like, hey, drive safe. And she's like, in this weather, who couldn't? And she was like, it's so nice, isn't it? And they're always just so friendly and so sweet. They're so nice. I have to say that too, like with Uber, like I've had a couple like kind of crazy experiences with Uber, like here in town, like out of town, it's a different story. Like Miami and Vegas and places like that, like Ubers are a different story. Like I just feel like it's a completely different world. I don't know, like it's business is what it is. Like when you go to Miami, it is like they don't talk to you. It's very much business. But here, I've had like one or two crazy situations. One was like where the woman was like FaceTiming like 10 people at the same time, like in a group call. Like that kind of like unnerved me. And a lot of people I talked about it in my vlog and they were like, you should report her, you should report her, you should report her. I don't know, maybe I should have out of safety issues, but I didn't. And then there was one other situation that I had where it was just kind of like a crazy situation. But other than that, like, the Uber drivers that I have had are so nice. And, like, the majority of them, I have to tell you, are, like, older. They're, like, 65 to 75, or 65 to 70, maybe. And, well, maybe not that old. Maybe they're, like, 60 to 65. And they're most of them retired, and they do this, like, just for extra income. And they're so friendly, and they're so nice. And, the other thing here is that I've noticed here versus like other places that we've gone, and I don't know, maybe this is just the Ubers that we've had in other places, but like here, like people really take pride in like cleaning out their cars and like their cars being spotless inside and stuff like that. Like, although like in Miami, like if we go with like Melissa and Jason and stuff, we usually get like a Uber X, like a van or like a, you know, like a SUV or whatever that's bigger because for all of us and all of our baggage and stuff like that. Yeah. I will say this though, the wait time in Miami for an Uber is a lot shorter than it is here. Like here, well, I've been actually taking Lyft recently instead of Uber because I'll get on Uber and it'll start and it'll say like the closest one is like 18 minutes away. And then I will and then it'll like go 21 minutes away, 25 minutes away, and then I'll look on Lyft and it'll be like 4 minutes away, and so I always like do Lyft instead. All right, you guys, the battery is flashing, so I am gonna get off here now. I have nothing exciting to share tomorrow except for that it's supposed to be another beautiful day, and then it's supposed to shoot down on Thursday into the 70s. I'm just gonna make a bunch of videos tomorrow, so now I already have my vlog done for tomorrow. I'm excited, so I will get this up early tomorrow. You guys can watch this vlog early. And this has been really nice tonight, and you guys have really helped settle my stomach, so I want to say I really appreciate that. And it's been kind of nice to vlog late at night. I haven't done this in a long time, so I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing what is tomorrow going to be? Wednesday, and Tanya Jean's going to be home, and I'm so excited. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And remember these 3 very important things. 1, you can start your day over whenever you want. 2, practice random acts of kindness, but shh, don't tell anyone. And 3, most importantly, make sure that you reach out to somebody and let them know how much they mean to you. You might be putting a smile on their face, like I always say. You might be changing their day for the better. You might be giving them some hope and motivation, and you might just, I don't know, be making them feel not so lonely. So it's a nice thing to do. And also, be kinder to one another, love one another a little bit more, and most importantly, be kinder and love yourselves a little bit more. And I would actually stop here and vlog more tomorrow, but like I said, I don't have a lot to share unless I get up tomorrow and a bunch of exciting stuff happens, and then I will pick up the camera and start vlogging where I left off, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm going to try to make as many videos as I can on my other channels tomorrow. So And now I'm going to watch High Desert and I'm going to watch Missing. So if you want to hear me talk about those, and oh, I do want to ask this. So like I've been watching so many shows, and my friend said the other day, why don't you review the shows on your review channel? And I said I used to do that, but people didn't seem real interested in it. Would you guys like me to go back and start reviewing TV shows on my review channel again? Because like I said, I have a ton of shows to review that I could do that. So if you want me to do that, let me know in the comment section below. And I hope that you guys are having a really great day. This was really nice, and I just want to say it was just really enjoyable to sit out here and talk to you guys tonight, and my stomach feels much better. So I don't know, maybe I just needed to relax and talk for a little bit. And so thank you for that. I appreciate it, and I love you guys so much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love you.